Hey everybody, welcome back to Double D Vintage Baseball Cards. My name is Dylan. Trying something new here. I got a new tripod so I can put this thing anywhere I want. So tonight it's going to be a short one for you guys. Just a little hobby talk and a couple of pickups. So I want to get right into it. You guys know maybe you don't know, that I was on Greg Midlife Cards. We did a live stream. John Mangini, Adam Splendid Sports, and Greg, and we talked about grading, and what fun it was indeed. I had an absolutely fantastic time, and I like to talk about that stuff. It's fun for me because I've never gotten to talk about it with anyone else before. And I have different opinions than people. So, it's just nice to air it and get it out. I mean, not that you guys don't already know how I feel, but I thought Greg did such a fantastic job. And having John Mangini, the president, and my co-host Adam on there was extra special. And then the best part about it was all you guys in the live. I read every single comment that went across the board, except when I was carrying my iPad to a different room. I wanted to respond to all of them, but I was trying to keep my mouth closed. You guys, I think I did pretty good, not hogging the airtime. So I had an absolute blast, and I didn't make all of my points that I wanted to make, but I'm not going to go through those here. If you guys know, you know how I've collected over the last 3 years. I didn't realize, but I looked before the show. It had been 3 years now since I went on that selling all my off-centered or higher grade off-centered stuff. I'm not anti-high grades. I want to make that certain. The high-end eights, the eights that look spectacular. The eights that look like tens. Dead centered, no image imperfection, just a perfect 4 that I like now, except with super sharp corners. I still think those are highly collectible, and I don't just see those sinking to the bottom. The PSA 10 is kind of its own thing. It's I still don't see the point if you're rich and you're blind, or you're rich and you have endless money and you don't care, then you can buy them. That's fine. But that's not for everybody else. But those 9s to me are just ridiculous. The price gaps, 10s are ridiculous too. Of course, I said that already. But my whole point of that is we can buy cards that look just as good as those 8s and 9s that aren't perfectly dead center, which are most 8s. Most PSA 8s are off-centered, or have 7s are notorious for print lines and print imperfections. What PSA loved over the last 40 years, or since I started buying vintage graded cards in 96ish era, so 30 years, I don't know, 40 years now. Holy smokes, I'm old. I don't know, but you realize 7s have tons of issues on the surface. So it's not we all know, but more and more, when I speak, I'm talking about those ugly 7s. I'm talking about the ugly 8s. I'm not talking about every 8 and every 7, because there's really good looking ones. But you know what's happening? Those 7s and 8s that are really good looking are skyrocketing, as well as our 4s that we can spend, 4s, 5s, 6s, anything that we spend way less money on. Those ones are really coming into the zone, and they're starting to they're almost pissing me off to a point that I'm like, man, should I have not said a word, done this by myself, and bought all the cards I wanted to buy, and then really talk about it? Obviously I had such a good time talking about it, and I'm glad I did, because that's what this hobby's about. And it's not a race to see who can buy the cards the fastest and find the most centered copy and all that, because whatever happens right? And for me to express myself over the years, and you guys have seen where it's been, it's fun to see that I was correct on that aspect of collecting, the centering thing. Not to toot my own horn, but for me personally, for a psychological experiment that I went on, selling all those 7s and 8s, these cards that I had forever, 20, 30 years in my collection, and just going balls to the wall and selling them. It's the greatest thing I ever have done in my entire collecting history. Like, if you call it a career, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. My cards thank me. The looks of my players on my cards thank me. The cards look incredible. My wife thinks my cards look so good now. I hand her cards all the time, ask her to give her a grade 1 through 100 on my centering scale, and she loves giving it. Okay, I take that back. I lied. She doesn't love giving it, but she will give it, and sometimes she will take her time. I'll be like, here, take this. Oh, what about this one? I want to see where I'm at. But man, I've had an absolute blast. But with all that said, there's some bigger cards that I really want, and the gap is getting so big on those perfectly centered, like those magical 1s and 2s that we love, that either have paper loss, pinhole, or a stain, or any number of issues. I know my 1s and 2s are going to have issues, and I'm realizing that, when these bigger cards, the gap's getting so big that I almost just want to go after some that aren't perfect. I don't need a perfect specimen of things that aren't tops. And I've said that from the beginning. Everything else is a different beast. The 40s cards are one beast. The 30s and 20s and 10s, they're all different beasts within themselves. I'm trying to get centered cards. I'm trying to get the best eye appeal, and I'm going to continue that. But I am probably going to lack some of my criteria on some of these bigger cards because I want the card. And I'm not just going out and buying big cards right now or anything, not at all. But I've chased a couple, and they went for astronomical prices. These 2s were just crazy. So it's just a thought I've been having, and I bought a card like a month ago. Roy Campanella rookie card. I got this. I'll just take you guys over to it. When I got it, it looked incredible. I was like, oh, that's magical. I bought it on eBay. A perfect specimen. Just an absolute beautiful card. It has that little stain on the right side. So I go, okay, well, that's the issue. That's why it's a 2. The back's phenomenal. You can read everything. There's no paper loss. So that's a beautiful copy. But what you don't see right here is there's a wrinkle. It's not a crease because it doesn't go through the other side, but there's a wrinkle that goes all the way through the middle of the card, right through his face. I didn't even notice until I looked at it in the perfect light, and then I couldn't unnotice it. But when I put it on my wall, I realized that it's spectacular. It's exactly what I'm looking for. When the camera right now, let me see, it's 6 inches away. Yeah, the lighting sucks. You got glare, but you can see the color pops. I'll show this up close and personal. That's where I look at my cards. I do hold on to them, and I look at them in great detail. Of course, I love doing that. But I do realize that it's still a beautiful card. It's centered. It has that wrinkle through it. So, like this Jimmy Fox right here, this 1.5 is probably the worst condition card, 1.5. It's like a practice card for me, but I actually have really learned to love it. There's no creases. There's no wrinkles. You got the trifecta of everything. This 2.5 is magical. Mickey Mantle, just a pretty much perfect specimen for me. Joe D, probably the nicest Joe D I could have ever found in this grade range. Just a spectacular card. It's not a perfect card. This Babe Ruth, absolutely phenomenal copy. Like, it looks like a 9 if it wasn't for what you see on the screen in front of you. If you notice, you notice. But when I saw this card in a stack of 5 they had at the National, I instantly gravitated to this one. It was like, oh my gosh, that's the one, dead centered. It's got sharp corners. I think this was in an album, or in a screw down, and pulled apart, and some of the pieces came off. The back is phenomenal, no missing paper. And then this too, just a perfect specimen. It has a wrinkle, on, I think there's a wrinkle or a crease on his hat area, above his hat. But with what I'm saying, I'm morphing my collection in sense of eye appeal on these more expensive. Here, we'll move over here. These more expensive vintage cards, like these iconic cards that I want. I have so many that I still want. Dare I say need. I'll move you guys back over here. Lighting's better. And I'm gonna save money on them. So I'm gonna take that aspect, like Chris from Missouri, kind of take his style of collecting. Chris, you're not gonna get offended by this. I mean, I feel like, I look at Chris's cards and I go, man, he has the cards. He has them all. Any way, shape, or form he can get them, he has them. I mean, he wears real thick glasses, and he has other people look at him when he buys them too. So it's like, does he need a perfect example? Heck no. And when I look at him, I'm jealous because he has these incredible cards. So I'm still going to be strict to a point. But when it comes to the older stuff, my eyes are opening. The experimental cards that I've purchased, they're growing on me. I have yet to buy a card from the 40s and lower that I just couldn't stand, that I had to get rid of. I thought I was going to sell that Campy 100%, and now it's not leaving my collection. I realize it fits exactly what I wanted. Displays like an absolute gem. You can't see the wrinkle or crease when it's on the wall whatsoever, even up close and personal. Not till it's in hand in the right light. You couldn't see it in the scans on PSA, zoomed way in, you couldn't see it. I wouldn't even have bid on the card. So that's just a thought. I said I wasn't going to go deeper on that, but I did. So with all that said, let me show you two pickups, okay? One is a Sam the Jet Jethro 1952 Topps. Now, I took a chance on this. I had this one before in a 4, but this one is freaking phenomenal. You're going to see a spot, but I took a chance thinking that was possibly the plastic or dust. And yes, it is. It's plastic, man. I'm not showing you how I usually show you guys my cards. Let me put my glasses on. Just want to make sure you guys can see that. So that white speck is a piece of plastic right there. So yes, what I'm going to do, I'm going to crack this thing open. I'm going to send this to SGC because I have an order for my friend Ernest, longtime collector friend of mine, and I'm sending some of his cards that I thought should be graded, and we're going to sell those for him. So I'm going to toss this in the mix. I bought this on Fanatics Collects at auction. I won this all said with a 20% commission, $125. Absolutely incredible example. And Sam the Jet Jethro was bonkers good. In the Negro Leagues, he was absolutely dominant. I think he was like 30 years old when he came up into the majors. So, into Major League Baseball. He was already in the majors, for the Negro Leagues, but you get my drift. What a beautiful example. Really stoked to have this. And it's one I inspired myself to go after because I just started hunting 52 Topps. I haven't stopped since I made my own video because, like I said, I watch them in bed and, you're going through them. So there's that pickup. And then this other one, I have another one coming. I hit the trifecta on this. 1976 Topps, Nolan Ryan, 76 strikeout leaders with Tom Seaver, dead nuts centered, absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh, I have wanted this card centered for 3 years. I had this one off-centered. I sold it on Whatnot, ungraded, and I have looked hard for these to find center. Well, this just randomly came up, and I won this thing for like $31. Just a sick. Two of the greatest pitchers of all time. Angels, Mets. Shout out to Mookie and Sammy Thunder. And then shout out to me, Nolan Ryan. Ryan. So sick. Angels. Well, I mean, for Angels, shout out to Brent Richards, collects, Nolan Ryan, but so many, everybody collects Nolan Ryan. But right after this, literally the next day, I won another Tom Seaver Nolan Ryan strikeout leaders card in a different year, and that's coming, and it was dead centered. And I kid you not, I looked at every copy of this at one point in time on eBay, like looked through like 60 of them. And then also the other example that I have coming, and just came across randomly, and the next day got another one, different year, same two great players. So just freaking stoked. Also, a mistake I made, man, I was in bed, and a card that I had been looking for, I've looked for it in the past. It's not a hard card to find. I just never pulled the trigger. Well, late in bed, I decided to pull the trigger, and I was looking for a 1986 Topps Tiffany Cecil Fielder. That Cecil Fielder card always is like one of the best cards from the entire 86 Topps set. As a kid, it was the card. I have my original. Well, I thought I bought a Tiffany's card. I did a whole bunch, and then I didn't even buy a centered copy. So I sent this guy an offer for $29 thinking it was a Tiffany because I was looking at Tiffany's. Somehow this got in the shuffle and it ends up being a Topps card. And I don't know what the heck to do with this thing. Like, I would never in a million years spend $30 on a Cecil Fielder in a regular Topps card in a PSA slab. Basically I just burned $30. Like, in my mind, I burned $30. I don't even want this card in this slab. I want the Tiffany version, the more, quote, rare version. That's how I'm collecting my Topps cards. I would have bought this for $2 ungraded and put it in a Mag Pro. I mean, I already have the card from my childhood. So what a fool's move. I'm not going to return it because it was my mistake. It wasn't in the title. It's just late at night in bed. My wife was asleep and I was thinking about this card. So I just said, dude, yeah, right. Stupid. I've done this twice now. I have a Reggie, regular Topps as well. Topps traded that is not Tiffany, and I did the same thing. Looking at Tiffany's, and then that thing got in the mix and I bought it. Oh, what a burning money. I hate burning money. Well, that's what I got for you guys. Those are all my thoughts of late. Having a blast talking with everyone, being on the live streams, and I was on a bunch of other shows, and I'm going to be on some more shows coming up. Really excited about it. Okay, with all that said, hope you guys are inspired out there to collect how you love to collect. Go down the rabbit holes you like to go down, and jump in some new ones once in a while. It's always fun. Water's warm. And don't be influenced by guys like me. Shaka.